Hello, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Marhaba, my dear beloved sisters. As I shared in the chat that inshallah I want to be able to commit to this time and be here with you and for you. And um, we are going to kind of switch gears a little bit. We still are going to be starting and completing this book, inshallah, before Ramadan. And we're trying to do it in a bit more structured way. And it's been hard for some of you to join with your children getting sick and the weather and all of these things, whether online or in person. So I thought maybe this is one way we could do it, um, and to kind of set our mind in preparation for Ramadan, because the um, the theme in these couple of weeks that we want to prepare in this month before we begin Ramadan, inshallah, is to help to clear our minds, clear our heart, clear our kitchen, our fridge, clear our schedule, so that we are able to step into Ramadan with more focus, inshallah, and more peace in our space and our emotions and our spiritual energy as well. Um, so as I shared before, this book, the Kate Hepburn, Sister Kate Hepburn, her name is and she goes by Sakina also, is a friend of mine actually. She's a convert from England and Botswana in Africa, and her focus is helping women. She's also a Muslim coach, and she organizes conferences and seminars and workshops and coaches women on the journey to help them improve their personal and professional and spiritual life. So I'm not going to talk much about it. So what I'll do is I'm going to prepare some notes and maybe like slides with prompts and discussions that you can reflect on. And for some of you, maybe you prefer to listen instead of to read, or while you're cooking or driving your kids to school and things like that. You can just listen to me reading. I'm not going to teach as I read. What I decided to do is kind of have a recording or split maybe the recording into 15 minutes or so, maybe two recordings or something. Let's see how long. Let me check the time. Um, and that uh, and then you can listen to the recording and finish the book that way if you're not able to read it yourself. And then we can also have some discussion in the WhatsApp chat, or when we meet next, inshallah. Okay. So chapter one is on lightening the load. We asked sisters, do you feel like clutter and overwhelm is affecting your ability to live a life that's aligned with your ultimate purpose, which is to worship Allah? And 75% of sisters said that yes, they do feel that clutter and overwhelm is affecting their ability to live a life that's aligned with their purpose and their goals to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The chapter one begins with lightening our load, and the hadith, be in this world as if you were a stranger or a traveler. The Arabic for that is كن في الدنيا كأنك غريب أو عابر السبيل. كن في الدنيا, be in this world. كأنك غريب, غريب is the word strange in Arabic, something weird or something strange. أو عابر السبيل, a person who is on the road, on the path, or a traveler in that sense. In my early 20s, while living in the UK, several years before I embraced Islam, one summer I decided I wanted to walk the Camino de Santiago. The Camino de Santiago is an 800-kilometer pilgrimage, like a walk, a pilgrimage that spans north of Spain. I'd done a fair amount of globe trotting in my younger days, backpacking my way across the world, and so I considered myself a fairly seasoned traveler. Aside from buying a few pairs of overpriced socks that promised to prevent blisters on my feet, I packed a guidebook that was heavy enough to double as a weapon. I didn't do much else in the way of preparing. Though I have traveled thousands of kilometers over the years, what I had never done, though, was to carry a backpack for 800 kilometers. I'm aware that it was a very long way to haul a heavy bag, and I made a conscious effort to pack light, selecting only what I thought was absolutely essential. Some clothes, shoes, a hat, sleeping bag, a sunblock, a raincoat, and toiletries. I booked my flight and I made my way to France. Arriving in Saint-Jean-de-Pied-de-Port, not sure how to say that in French, I registered as a pilgrim and received the coveted pilgrim's passport. So a pilgrim is a hujjaj, like someone going on Hajj that is a pilgrim, right? So in this case, at this point, Sister Kate was not a Muslim yet, and she was trying to go on this pilgrim in northern of Spain. So I registered as a pilgrim and I received a pilgrim's passport. So every town that I traveled, and every village that I traveled in my 800-kilometer walk, I will get a stamp in the passport. Day one. Surrounded by breathtaking mountain views, I trekked 23 kilometers up into the Pyrenees Mountains. The scorching heat of the day had pilgrims huddling in whatever little shade that they could find on the mountain passes, trying to get just a few minutes of rest from the blazing sun before they walked on. Unyielding heat wave had engulfed Spain. Finally, the day's descent came into sight, and with it the promise of rest just 4 kilometers away. Exhausted in my eagerness to arrive, I made a fatal hiking error as I carelessly raced down the final 4 kilometers, not thinking about the extra weight that I was carrying in my backpack and not thinking about the impact it would have on my knees. Day two, my knee throbbed with discomfort. Day four, I was in agony and I could barely walk. My heart sank every time I saw a downhill that I would have to go down. 800 kilometers suddenly seemed an impossibly long way. As it turned out, being overloaded was quite common among pilgrims who would go on this journey. So common that, in fact, a service existed along the route that allowed pilgrims to send their excess luggage, their extra luggage that they were bringing, to a post office in Santiago de Compostela, which is somewhere towards the end of the pilgrimage route, that you could collect it upon arrival. News of that service brightened my spirits. I urgently needed to lighten my load. I had too much on my back. And I eagerly started sifting through my belongings, deciding, okay, what did I really need? What would really need to stay and what could be sacrificed along the way? What had seemed so important and essential on day one did not really seem that essential anymore. My journal entry for that day reads, Begone, evil extra weight. Begone, evil extra weight. Now, with a lighter load, walking became easier. And 6 weeks later, with double knee guards on my knees and leaning on my trusty hiking stick, which also saved my life along the way, alhamdulillah, I walked into Santiago. Although I had not yet embraced Islam when I walked the Camino journey, the experiences and profound lessons that I learned along the way bring to mind the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our beloved Prophet. Be in this world as if you were a stranger or a traveler. This is a hadith from Bukhari that I started this chapter with. كن في الدنيا كأنك غريب أو عابر السبيل. It's hadith from Imam Bukhari. The reality is, we need a lot less than we think we need. And often we don't realize the impact or the weight of what we're carrying until we injure ourselves or experience the relief of actively lightening our load. When we let go of the excess, of the extras, not only are we able to walk easier, but we feel lighter, we feel better, we might feel less burdened by carrying so much in our life. Grateful for what we have and grateful not to be weighed down too much by things that we don't actually really need. So, with a new spring in our step, we might have more energy, more space, more to give, to share physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. We are able to worship better, to have more focus in our ibadat, to serve families and our communities better, to travel the road more easily, and to focus more clearly on the path ahead of us. So the chapter ends here. We're at 7 minutes. I was thinking each recording I would like to keep to about 10 minutes or so. Um, so instead of going to let me see how long is chapter two. Yeah, instead of going to chapter two, I'm going to pause here and just have a couple of reflection points if you want to think about it. What aspects of your life feel heavy in this season? So as we're coming into Ramadan, as we're coming through a time where the country, the government, politics, your personal life, your family, your children, your parents, your own health, finances, marriage, education, work, friends, all of that. What aspect in your life right now, my dear sisters, might feel a little heavy for you? And if that's something you want to share in the chat, you're welcome to give your reflections in the chat by voice message or by text, and reflect on what kind of traveler that you think you might be as you go on this journey, or what kind of traveler do you want to be? Are you the kind of traveler now that you carry, 3, 4 big luggage whenever you go anywhere and you have to carry, on the plane or in the car? Are you a kind of life traveler that you're able to kind of live lightly, and give more space for flexibility and be ready for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has for us? Um, I'll share that. Uh, Actually, I'll do my sharing in the chat, maybe by text, but I'm going to end this first recording now. So this is kind of introduction in chapter one. We're at just about 9 minutes, and see you in the next recording. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.